Call the meeting to order. Please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Garza, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Chairman DeMaria.
Here.
Vice Chairman Albrecht. Mrs. Kiefer. Here. Mr. O'Hanlon.
Here.
Mrs. Seaborg. Here. Mrs. Williams. Here. Mr. Williams.
Here. We don't have our student liaisons reseated yet, so they are not here, just in case anybody was wondering why they weren't called. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda, Dr. McGorry?
We do. On the consent agenda, a personnel ratification.
Are there any announcements or spotlights?
Yes, there are.
Ms. Radford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Dr. McGuirk. Greetings, other members of the board, and good evening to everyone that is here tonight. I'm very pleased to stand before you with a few recognitions that we would like to spotlight on this evening. I'd like to first begin with letting you know that back in March, Manassas City Public Schools was contacted regarding a great opportunity for one of our students to attend the 2017 Higher Orbits Workshop sponsored by the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, or AIAA. Higher Orbits is a nonprofit with the mission of promoting STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and math, along with leadership, teamwork, and communication through the use of space flight. The organization's goal for launch is an amazing middle school student weekend experience, which was held this year, May 6th and May 13th through the 14th at the Airbus facility in Herndon. Students work with astronauts and other space and STEM professionals for all 3 days to enhance their skills in leadership, teamwork, and communication through the wonder of space flight. And this program typically appeals to those who love space and those who have just even a mild interest in it. So through a generous donation by HRZ Tech, Autumn Flint, who is now a rising 8th grader, was selected to attend the workshop. So tonight I want Autumn, who is here, she would come forward and she's going to share the information with us. And then we also have, after I move out of the way, we also had several people that were very instrumental in working with Autumn at her school and a part of this sponsorship of this program. And several of them could not be here tonight, but Lisa McKinney is her STEM teacher at METS. And we also have Susan McNamara, our K-12 CTE supervisor for Manassas City Public Schools. Michelle Lucas is the founder and president of the Higher Orbits program. And Teresa Coates-Ellis and the CCN student group, media group, you know, they spotlighted Autumn's story on their website. And Ms. Ellis also helped connect us with our sponsor for Autumn's experience, which is Mr. Zucker, Herbert Zucker, who is here tonight. So I'm going to ask that he would come forward as well. And he is going to share a little bit about why he wanted to be involved in this and support the school system in this manner. And then, of course, Autumn will share a little bit about what she experienced during that time. So you can go ahead first. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished members, it's really an honor to be here along with Autumn this evening to say thank you for your support and your interest, and also with the community at large, for STEM, and particularly for space. This has been a work in progress, initiated really through the commission at the airport about the vision of having more integration of space knowledge and awareness for our community, because it touches every aspect of our life more than we realize. But to get the kids excited that it's not some distant thing way out there, far away for a select few, but it's accessible for all our students here at the City of Manassas and Prince William County. So that's how the vision began, and it wasn't done just by one person. It was done by some of the folks that were mentioned earlier. Teresa, I wish she could be here. I know she is in spirit, along with Michelle, Susan, and your STEM teacher,
Ms. McKinney.
Ms. McKinney. Between all of them, they were able to help Autumn realize an opportunity that few people get to experience with an astronaut who's been up in space at least 4 times and is also president of a large corporation in Fairfax County. So we're here today to celebrate Autumn, and I only hope that this might create an opportunity for you to explore as an interest as you pursue your educational career, and you share it with your friends and invite them for these opportunities. I'm glad you were able to make it. I hope you had a wonderful experience, and we all look forward to hearing what you thought Go for Launch is all about. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Autumn, and I was just going through my normal school day when I first found out about this. I was pulled aside by my STEM teacher and asked if I was interested in space and STEM, and I automatically said yes. I didn't really get into space till this all started, and when I found out that someone was going to sponsor me and I was given the real opportunity to go through this, I was honestly extremely shocked. And I remember calling my dad on the phone because I had forgotten to mention this to my parents. I called my dad and we got everything taken care of, and on the first day I went in and I saw all these kids that I had no idea who they were. They were all people that I had never met. They were all from different cities or divisions from all around Virginia. There were probably around 30 kids there. And the first day that we were put into groups, me and my teammates just kind of all clicked together to create our experiment. For Go for Launch, you create an experiment based on a little 4x4 inch cube, and if you kind of like win the little competition, then you get to send your experiment into space. Our experiment was on a gut bacteria that helps repel cancer cells, and we were hoping to get that to morph while it was in space and see if it would multiply and hopefully help other people with cancer. And I remember we started on another experiment first, and we had no idea what that experiment was about. So like second day, we had to completely change our experiment within the last 3 hours that we had of this whole 24-hour experience. Last day we were presenting, and it was actually a lot of fun seeing all the other groups go up and present all of their ideas that they had. But when we got up, I was up there and I was shaking and I was extremely nervous, because I was there standing in front of probably around like 50, 60 people, kids and their parents and chairman, and it was just really nerve-wracking. But once we got up there and started presenting, it was like adrenaline. I wasn't nervous at all as soon as I was up there and standing. As soon as I met all the astronauts, it was a lot of fun to get to interact and hear about all of these stories that people had about being in space. So, unluckily we did not win the competition, but it was still a great experience to go through, and it was a lot of fun to meet all of the people there.
That's wonderful. You're talking about when you went into your groups. Does anybody else thinking of the group session for American Idol for smart people? I mean, that's exactly what you were describing. It would have been fun to watch that on TV, except I wouldn't have understood anything. But that was very good. And I hope you're not as nervous right now, are you?
I'm a little shaky, like.
Okay, well, don't be, because everybody in this room is judging you. We're already, we love you. So it's much easier here.
Yeah.
So this is wonderful. Anybody else? keep up the good work. You're a rising 8th grader?
Yes, I was in 7th grade when this all
Yeah,
happened.
1 year, yeah, we can figure
Yeah.
that one out. Thank you, though. That's just wonderful, and to only be an 8th grader, and I had to ask if you were nervous, because you did a wonderful job tonight, too.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you very much. And you get a picture with us.
Yeah, Mr. Executive, yeah.
Competition, but you're winning tonight, huh?
Yeah, right up here. Everybody ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oops. Oh, that was wrong. Okay, here we go. Yep, here we go. 1, 2, 3. I'll do one more. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2. Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, we really appreciate it. Congratulations. And one other thing,
Yes.
Mom, Dad, it was really cool to watch you watching this document. I mean, the proud just comes out of your body.
That's right, yeah, that's right, yep. Exciting, okay. Our next recognitions for tonight, yes, the Parent and Community Leadership Academy graduates. On June 6th, we held the 2017 MCPS Parent and Community Leadership Academy, or PCLA, graduation at the Candy Factory in Old Town, Manassas. The class of 2017 is our third cohort of this program. So, we started this 7-month program back in December, and we had 14 people that joined us this year. We had lots of special guests. Our school board members were represented there, and then we also had city government leaders. We did a tour of schools on our fabulous transportation system with our school bus. And so we had a great experience by bringing panelists in to share with our cohort, and it gave them ways to engage in leadership opportunities in our great city and then also in the school system. So we're excited that they completed the program. They are eager to work. We also have business leaders who stepped up and sponsored many of our dinners or provided resources and materials for our program, and we certainly appreciate them. I have some of them that are here tonight, and we'll present certificates for them. Our graduates already received their certificates during their graduation. They also received name badges, which is one of our traditions, so that when they are out in the community, whether it be in the schools or in the city, they can represent and tell people that they are a graduate of the program and give those little shout outs. So we have several of them here tonight, and as I call your names, can you please come forward? Angela Gorman. Yes. Jane James. Michael Kunzer. Erica Leos. Nora Lopez. Jenny McKellick. Karen O'Malley. Maria Ordinola. Helen Sorto. Ivan Soto. Luz Soto. Mark Townsend. And Rebecca Weiner. These are our 2017 graduates.
Maybe want to come down for a second, Brian?
I would like to add, Dr. McGuirk and I had the privilege of working with our participants, and this is a lively bunch. We had a blast, every one of our classes, with so much information and sharing and networking, so we trust that they're going to do some exciting things. Let me get 1, 2 on here. All right, everybody look this way. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, thank you all. Yeah. All right. And as I mentioned, whether it was through in-kind donations or tremendous discounts or support by sending people to assist us with the PCLA, our business community was very instrumental in the success of this program. One of the things that we do is once a month, we're together for 3 hours from 5:30 to 8:30, this year on a Thursday night, and so we recognize that people are rushing from work or whatever it is they had to do during the day, and through that dinner time, it's important that our energy levels are high, and so thankfully we have so many people who wanted to lend their support. Some of them had worked with us previously. Some of them are graduates of the program, which is awesome. Some of them are graduates of Osborne High School, which is even more awesomer. So we, I make up words sometimes, but we certainly appreciate all of the support that we received from them, and some of them are here tonight. Those that could not be had previous engagements, but that's okay. I'll make sure that they get their certificates. We want to begin with Edwards Enterprises, which is Ed and Jill Spall, and they both are graduates of the PCLA. Jill Spall, yes.
You have to stand up here with you.
Yes, you do.
They're there. I won't make fun of you today.
All you guys together as well. We're going to get everybody together as well.
We're gonna do one picture or all?
You can get all together, but if you want by yourself, that's fine. I just can't keep going back and forth, sorry. We also have, you can just say, yeah, you can come up here to the side if you like. That's fine. Yeah. You can stand to the side. That's good. Okay. We also have one of the participants in this year's class is also a business owner and recognized that we, are sponsored by donations and things like that, and stepped up and said, I want to be one of the donors for this. So Nora Lopez of Remax Realty is here tonight.
So you paid to go do this?
Thank you. Okay.
Not you.
I'm not sure. We also had Tony's Pizza right off of Mathis Avenue. That was one of our sponsors. I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to be here tonight. They were going to try, but this is a busy time of the evening for them.
I'll be there tomorrow night.
Okay, sure. Sure thing, thank you. And then also Jimmy John's. They would stop by our office several times during the summer, and I spoke with them, and I really don't have any problems asking people for free things sometimes, and they were so willing to stop by and donate sandwiches and stuff for us, so we definitely want to appreciate them. Also, CJ Fins, I think they were going to try to be here tonight. Okay, CJ Fins helped us with our graduation dinner, and everybody loved it. And we also love the fact that they represent Osborne High School as well, so great organization. Okras. Yes. Charles couldn't be here tonight, but Chris Finney is here representing Okras. Thank you. Yeah. They've helped us for several of our cohorts.
One, two.
And I'm not sure about these other two, but I definitely want to mention them. Guapos, right there on 28, was one of our sponsors. And then also Javier Gonzalez from Eagle Bank, who worked with Ms. Lopez and assisting us with one of our sessions. So this, of course, is in recognition of your generous and valuable support of the 2017 Manassas City Public Schools Parent and Community Leadership Academy. This is something that none of them had to do at all, but their willingness was just so appreciative and amazing. And so we definitely thank you. I know that our participants thank you, and we look forward to continued relationship with you guys as you support Manassas City Public Schools. Yeah. You can look this way first.
One, two.
One, two, one more.
All right, and I'm right here. Yes, wait for it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you. We're good. Yes, thank you. Thank you all.
Committee reports. My computer turned off. I was down there too long. Are there any reports from any committees? Do you have something from policy?
Just real quickly.
Yes, ma'am. That's fine. I just didn't have to go through the whole thing.
So I just wanted to mention that we had discussed some policy updates at the last board meeting, and no changes from staff or from comments from the community had been received. So the policies in tonight's consent agenda are as we discussed in the last meeting.
Thank you very much. Hey, Emma. We'll move on to board member comments. School's out, so let's do this a little bit different. Ms. Kiefer? You want to be sitting in the vice chairman's
Well,
spot?
I just wanted to say congratulations to everyone who's honored tonight, and I just wanted to keep it really short because it's too nice of a night to be listening to me. So that's it.
Very good. Mr. Williams?
You should have. Congratulations, everybody who's honored tonight, especially to Autumn. She was phenomenal in her presentation. I'm proud of what she's doing, and she's just another indication of some of the great things some of our kids are doing. So congratulations to her and to her family, and that's it for me.
Thank you. Ms. Seberg?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks to all the citizens that were here tonight. We have a range of different people, and who's our youngest one that's here tonight? Do we have, Rebecca, how old are your two kids? 7 and 9. Could be two of our youngest. And I just wanted to also say that, even though school is out, there's lots going on in our schools. We got summer school. We have camps getting ready to start. We've got police, fire, and rescue. And I was able to stop by the VEX robotics camps that have been going on last week and this week, and I see we have a mentor in the audience, and we have a volunteer in the audience, and we had a participant a moment ago. So I love seeing all the opportunities that are offered to our kids, and hope you're having fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Williams?
Well, I believe everybody's pretty much already said everything for tonight, but definitely congratulations to Autumn. I think that's an exciting opportunity. I'm really also excited of the types of companies, not just the companies, but the types of technical companies that we have right here in our city that does provide such awesome opportunities to our kids, even at METS, at that level. I think it's fantastic. And I just hope everybody enjoys their summer and stay safe. That's all I got.
Mr. O'Hanlon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just same thing. Congratulations to Autumn Flint, and also thank you to Mr. Zucker for his sponsorship of Autumn and the programs. And congratulations to our PCLA graduates. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's summertime. Things are a little bit different in the summer. Our July meeting will be July 18, and there will only be one, and it will be at central office. So don't be looking for us on TV. I know everybody looks forward to their second and fourth Tuesday. They got it all on their DVR and stuff, but next month it will be different. Congratulations and to all of the graduates, but mostly thank you to the graduates. They're doing this in order to make our schools, our city better, and for the benefit of our children. So thank you for that. All right. Citizens' comments. I don't believe I have anybody signed up. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Is there anyone that would like to speak? We are rolling now. The consent agenda. Ms. Kiefer?
Mr. Chair, I move that the school board of the city of Manassas approve the consent agenda as modified.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Kiefer, second by Mr. Williams, that the school board of the city of Manassas approve the consent agenda as modified. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries 6-0. discussion agenda, stop arm camera system. Mr. Hawkins, I assume?
Good evening, School Board Chairman Demiria, Dr. McGuirk, school board members. I'm going to give you an update tonight on the stop arm cameras system. This program began on January 13th, and, of course, school, why is it not moving?
Might be off your mouse.
Yeah, he's moving the cursor.
Can you just click down to the next slide, Albert, please?
Or at the end?
Oh, okay. Nope. Go back to the top.
Attaboy, Mr. Williams. That's why you get elected.
Still not moving, but it's
Oh,
back
good.
down to the bottom of the page again. All right, we'll start. So the stop arm camera system started January 13th this year. Through June the 12th, our last day of school, we've issued over 1,100 citations, which is on average about 12 violations per day. To put this in some context, we've had every one of our buses passed at least 19 times on average throughout this period of time. Of these 1,153 citations, 776 of them have been satisfied, and the remaining 377 will be forthcoming. Let me give you some perspective about how the citations are being issued by month. I wish I could report some better news than what we're showing tonight. I don't see much of a decline. I mean, you have to remember that in June, we only went to school 8 days. Even though we got out of school on the 12th, we only went to school eight days, and we issued 140 citations in 8 days. So hopefully we will, our goal here was to improve the safety of our children. We were hopeful by time that we would see a decline in the citations issued. Doesn't appear, I mean, even though we've had some dips like in April, only being 8 days in June is disheartening when you see 140 in just that short a period of time. But we still have the stop arm camera system is still running through summer school. Didn't stop on June the 20th. It will continue on as long as we have buses in service in this division. So where are the major areas of concern? Where are we issuing most of the citations at? You can see those on the screen. And, I'm not sure, most of these are probably no surprise to you as far as where the citations are being issued. That's where a lot of the traffic is on Liberia and Centerville Road. I guess I was a little surprised about Center Street being 27. Seems like a small road to me, but those are over 500 of the citations we issued just in those 5 areas. This is the first year of the program. Of course, we'll continue on next year. Hopefully I'll have better news to report to you next year as far as seeing a pattern of where citations will be going down citywide.
Thank you, sir.
Are there any questions, concerns, comments?
Yes, sir. I'm wondering if this would be typical, even though we don't have the numbers prior to this year, but as summer comes, there's more drivers out there, maybe that has something to do with our numbers not going down?
Right. I want you to understand that Manassas City is not atypical of other jurisdictions around us. I've read in, I think it was in the Washington Post maybe a week ago, where Montgomery County, Maryland had issued over 15,000 citations, and they'd only been in approximately the same amount of time that we've been in. Of course, it's a much bigger area, but, 15,000 is still a lot. I mean, my God. We're not abnormal. We knew one of the reasons why we implemented this program was because we knew that we had a problem. And so we've just begun to address it, and hopefully over time we can be able to reduce the number.
Right, and then the Centerville Road is a huge number there in comparison to the next largest, but those 5, like you say, is just over 500. That still leaves 600 in other areas.
Throughout the city.
And so that's quite a bit, and hopefully this will make our children safer in the long run. Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, how much are the fines, and have we earmarked that money for anything in particular?
So each citation is $250. It is no points against a driving record, and all of that's based on state statute. We didn't set the fine, or we didn't set the rules. It was done by the General Assembly. So 1,153 citations times $250 is $288,250. Of that amount, 40% of that money comes back to the school system, which is, right now, we've collected year to date on the 776. We've collected 116,000. No, our share is 77,600. School board share is 77,600. The vendor share is 116,400. If you take the 1153, multiply it times 250, and then that's $288,250. That 60% of that money will go to the vendor, and 40% will come to the school division. Those funds have not been allocated to any purpose at this time. When we started the program in January, we didn't know how much money we would be collecting. We have not designated those funds for any particular purpose as of yet. We're hopeful, based on history, that we'll be able to determine how much money we'll get. We may, in the future, allocate it. I don't want to depend on it as a recurring revenue. Our goal is to make it a non-recurring revenue. So we'll have to decide in the future if we want to designate it for a particular purpose.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Williams?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins, for the report. We appreciate it. And the numbers are appalling, obviously. One thing I wondered, have we thought about publicizing this at some point, or maybe we wait until the school year started? And I'm thinking publicizing in the sense that we let parents and families and young drivers know, and even folks in the community know, so that maybe we can help decrease these occurrences. I'm not sure if that would, is practical, but I'm sure we reach out to with the media, or we do things on our social media, but it seems that letting people know, because a lot of folks aren't going to watch this. I know we're all cool and everything, but they're probably not sitting home watching us. But I think we need to get the word out. So at some point, when the school year starts, maybe we should think about ways to communicate it. So thank you for bringing this to the direction.
So when the program was first initiated, we teamed up with our PR department, teamed up with the city PR department and the police, and hopefully to let the community know. When we come back, before we go back to school again this year, I'm sure we'll do the same type of thing to let the community know, to beware of school buses, stop, and talk about the fine as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, one follow-up to what Mr. Williams said. Have we thought about talking to the city about putting a sign in one block in particular, since a quarter of all of them come from one block?
Well, most of these violations are up where the trailer park is on Centerville Road, and so I'm not sure what the final outcome of that trailer park is going to be with the city, whether it's still going to be in existence by the time next school year is. I'm not certain about what the future of the trailer park is, but we're also exploring options about taking the buses off the main road and going back into that area to pick up children instead of picking them up on Centerville Road. We've been back in there with the school buses. I've got the transportation director evaluating it now. I think we could be able to go back there with the buses and pick the children up instead of picking them up on Centerville Road. I'm just not certain that road is a quote-unquote city road. I don't know whether or not they clear snow and things back in there, which would, we don't normally drive our school buses on non-city roads, so that would be one of the holdups that we're still investigating at this time.
And Mr. Hawkins, they also have a flashing light that when our buses are there, that says that it is a bus stop, so drivers are warned of that.
Most of the drivers that pass are not on the side of the bus. They're on the other side, on the far, I guess, coming to here would be on the right-hand lane, depending on which way you're coming, but they're on the far side. There's no barrier there, which means that they do have to stop, but some motorists just go by quite a few times, it looks like.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Discipline data update. Looks like Dr. Stone. Is that right? Oh, is it? Oh, code of conduct, do that. Is that you?
I'm going to let Max do that.
Oh, Max, I'm sorry, I read it wrong. And if you're going to tell me, if you're going to straighten me out, you got to straighten me out louder. Don't be afraid of that. Yeah, I'm easy. Mr. Collins, code of conduct.
Yes, sir. Members of the school board, Dr. McGuirk, I'm here this evening to review proposed changes to the student code of conduct for the 17-18 school year. We are proposing no significant change to the code, and the changes are as follows. Table of contents, range of disciplinary action on pages 2 and 3. This change replaces the word disciplinary with corrective, in keeping with our focus on behavior correction through intervention and support, and PBIS, and consistent with Virginia Board of Education conduct policy guidelines. Range of disciplinary action, page 4. Here we provide an official name returned to school conference for the conference with a school counselor following a short-term suspension. This change allows for a common language K-12. Disruptive behavior, page 7. Here we change minute of silence to moment of silence in accordance with language found in school board policy, i.e. moment of silence. Physical and verbal abuse of students, page 11. Here we insert the word violence in the definition of assault to read the willful initiation of physical violence toward a person not seeking violence or attempting to avoid a physical confrontation. Sexual harassment, sexual offenses, page 12. Here we insert and add the term of a sexual nature to a definition of sexual harassment to read sexual harassment as unwelcome or unwanted verbal, nonverbal, or physical behavior of a sexual nature that makes someone feel uncomfortable or unsafe. And this is in line with school board policy JFH-GBA, prohibition against harassment and retaliation, in which this term appears. Short-term suspension procedures, page 16. Here we change the title of the central office administrator to executive director of student services. And we replace the word approval with authorization concerning a suspension of 5 days. The word authorization makes clear that the suspension beyond 5 days is not a mandate by the central office, and that the final decision, once authorized, rests with the school-based administrator. Long-term suspension procedures, page 17, involves gender pronouns. Review of disciplinary action procedures, page 18. Here we change the format of the information in an attempt to make it easier to read. We add a requirement to include any necessary changes to the student disciplinary record in the written notification to the parent guardian following an appeal. Expulsion or exclusion and expulsion, pages 19 through 22. Here you'll see parents change to parents/guardian. Required reporting to law enforcement, page 24. Here we update the list of incidents that must be reported to law enforcement to reflect current state law and school board policies JFC, JGD, JGE, KNAJ, and CLA. These lists appear in all of those policies. Definitions, page 25. Here we modify the definition of threat assessment to include notice that a student may be placed in an alternative educational program. This notice has been common practice for several years and is included in our letters to parents whenever we conduct a threat assessment. We modify the definition of reentry conference to make clear the difference between this and a return to school conference. Again, in an attempt to create a common language K-12 and eliminate confusion. A reentry conference is a function of the superintendent's office. It is associated with only the most serious conduct infractions. We change parent conference to return to school conference and modify the definition to accurately reflect the mandate found under range of corrective action on page 4. And that's all I have. Unless there are any questions or...
Anyone? Mr. Williams?
Thank you very much for the presentation. These changes to the code of conduct were submitted to us, tag team, I guess, Mr. Collins and Dr. Stone, and the academic committee reviewed and had a number of suggestions with your input, so thank you for your work on that. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Mr. Collins, thank you very much.
Okay, you're very welcome.
How about we do discipline data update? How about Dr. Stone? There's an idea. Just trying to skip things for her. She wants to get out of here real fast.
So Chairman Demaria, members of the board, Dr. McGuirk, it's my pleasure to be here tonight to give you the discipline data update for the end of the school year. As we did at the semester break, we talked about the Virginia Department of Education School Quality Profile data, and specifically for discipline, it's in the learning climate section. I'm going to let you run this. So we talked specifically about expulsions, where students are expelled from the school system, long-term suspensions, which are defined as more than 10 days of out-of-school suspension, and short-term suspension defined as 10 days or less of out-of-school suspension. The data on the school quality profile is disaggregated by ethnicity, and it compares the percentage of ethnicity in the total school population to the percentage of ethnicity in the total number of expulsions or suspensions. What we're going to do this evening is look at the student numbers and then as they would appear on our school quality profile by ethnicity. So we start with expulsions, and for the 16-17 school year, we had a total of 3 expulsions. This was a 50% decrease from the 6 expulsions during the 15-16 school year. And you can see this year we had 1 at our intermediate school and 2 at the high school. How that looks on the school quality profile, because all 3 of our suspensions were students of a Hispanic ethnicity. It is a large bar, but it represents 3 students. When we move to long-term suspensions, for the 16-17 school year, we had a total of 7 long-term suspensions. This is a 22% decrease from the 9 long-term suspensions during the 15-16 school year. And you can see those are all typically at the middle or high school levels. When we look at our school quality profile, this begins to show where we struggle with our disproportionality of long-term suspensions and short-term suspensions of our African American students not being commensurate with the percentage of African-American students in our total student population. In this case, total student population is right around 10% for African-American students, and currently we are a little over the 40% mark for long-term suspensions. When we look at our short-term suspension comparison, for the 16-17 school year, we had a total of 560 short-term suspensions. It's a 15% decrease from a total of 662 short-term suspensions during the 15-16 school year. And again, when you look at this school quality profile broken out by ethnicity, you will see that we continue to be disproportionate with our African-American students. So when we look at next steps and how we will be addressing these things, PBIS implementation continues into year 3, and really the focus is on a lot of professional development for our staff. This has started this school year already. Right after school was out, we had a 20-team member that went to a training in Fauquier High School with Dr. Terry Scott out of the University of Louisville, talking about relationship building and instructional practices that promote engagement. That was the focus of his, and those 20 members will continue to be a part of training this summer that focuses on implicit bias, and classroom management strategies that we can take out and begin to train our classroom teachers on. PBIS is a division-wide framework for how we handle students who are struggling, but it doesn't say you must do specific things in your classroom. Classroom management still is a piece that is owned by a classroom teacher, and there are things we can do that, as long as they match what the division framework is for handling students that need support, all of those things can work together. We're also focusing on department and grade level professional learning communities, where they are talking about their discipline data and talking about the concerns that they're having and how they can support their grade level or their department as they work through students who are struggling as well. This was the whole division update, and you have received some updates from METS throughout the year. They will come back and talk with you about the reconstitution plan and how they did in terms of their academic achievement, but I wanted to share with you their overall comparison of physical altercation. This was the slide you saw for first semester. Ms. Buckheit presented that to you, and the number of physical altercations had reduced from 15 to 5 overall during that first semester block. And the next slide is their second semester comparison, where we continued to see a decrease in the overall number of physical altercations. So at the end of the year, the overall decrease, they started at 27 for the 15-16 school year, and they ended with 12 during our current school year. And that is the end of the update.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments? Mr. Williams?
Well, thank you very much for the presentation. You and I have talked about some of this before. I think it's great that we're shining a light on some of the disparate outcomes we have and trying to figure out, why that is. And I think we're doing a good job of trying to address it within our staff and others in the school system. One thing that occurred to me looking at this, and I don't know if we do this or not, I went about gender as well. Are there gender differences and what that proportionality looks like? And you don't have to rush to give me answers or anything. It just occurred to me though, because I wondered as times change and things change, that's something we have to consider going forward. But back to what you presented, thank you. It's very helpful, and hopefully we can keep continuing to look at this and work on this going forward and make our schools the best they can be. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'm happy to see the numbers going down, especially in the physical altercations. Big words for me, but that's great. I like the idea that suspensions, expulsions, both long-term and short-term suspensions are going down. I also want to make sure that discipline is enforced. I don't want those numbers to go down because we are overlooking things. I want those numbers to go down because our kids are doing better, our staff is doing better, monitoring our kids, and things are getting better. But we also have to make sure that we are disciplining correctly, no matter what they say down in Richmond, to where they want to try and decide how we should be disciplining from Richmond in Manassas and everywhere else, because they don't know. I trust you to do this correctly, and for the right reasons. Our numbers shouldn't be going down. But this is wonderful. Thank you very much. And what Mr. Williams said, if we can just continue to try and figure out why that's happening, because we don't like that that's happening.
Right.
Anyone else? Thank you, Dr. Stone. Okay, on to the action agenda. You watching me? Am I right? K-8 Social Studies and K-12 Fine Arts Resource Adoption. Dr. McGuire? Or nobody's rushing up here?
We're asking for approval from... We're asking for approval from the school board for the K-8 Social Studies and K-12 Fine Arts Resource Adoption. There have been no comments from the community, no comments from staff. Everything is as presented from our last board meeting.
Okay. Were there any questions that weren't answered at the last board meeting? I believe Dr. Krantz gave a detailed thing. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move that the school board of the city of Manassas adopt the K-8 social studies and K-12 fine arts resources as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Kiefer, second by Mr. Williams, that the school board of the city of Manassas adopt K-8 social studies and K-12 fine arts resource as presented. Is there any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries 6-0. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being, staying after all the exciting, fun things were over. And
Mr. Chair, I move that the school board of the city of Manassas enter closed session pursuant to exemptions from open meetings allowed by section S2.2-3711, Part A, Paragraph 1 of the Code of Virginia, 1950, as amended for the following purpose: discussion of personnel matter, PERS 1617-1758.
motion by Ms. Kiefer, second by Mr. Williams, that the school board enter closed session pursuant to exemptions from open meetings allowed by section 2.2-3711, Part A, Paragraph 1 of the Code of Virginia, 1950, as amended for the following purpose: discussion of personnel matters, PERS 1617-1758. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries 6-0. We will go into closed session, and I don't think we'll be long.